Hi guys, this is Kim from Oborochann here, and this is my very first YouTube tutorial, and I thought I would start out with teaching you guys how to make these little flexible push molds. So I hope you like my video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about are the supplies you'll need. Most importantly, you will need Sculpey Moldmaker, and you can get this at Michael's or Joann's. It's always usually right by the Sculpey clay, and it comes in these 2 rectangular blocks. And it's a lot like clay, but it's much softer, and when it bakes, instead of being hard like clay, it's very flexible, which is really important when you're making these push molds, because you want to be able to kind of push your object out when you're done. Another thing is cornstarch. And a medium-sized soft brush, so you can brush the cornstarch onto your mold maker and your object so it makes it come out really easily. And last thing is a Silpat baking mat, or any kind of flexible non-stick baking mat is really good when you're working with clay or molds or anything. So the next thing I'll talk about are how to make your stamps. The next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is the object that you're actually going to be pushing into your mold. I've been making these molds for a while now, and what I used to do when I first started making them was I would just, like if I made a necklace, I would just make my mold out of the pendant that I made originally. And it has a little loop in the top, but I'll show you kind of the problem with doing this that I found was, so you push it in, you kind of form the mold to the shape so it, it fits it more perfectly, you get a more perfect impression. And then it's kind of hard to get it out. Like what I used to do is I'd take a needle and I'd kind of try to get it out, and it really, I don't know, I don't think it works very well. You can do it more carefully than I just did, but it still kind of messes up the shape and skews it. And when, the things that I would, like when I'd push clay into this, it wasn't really the greatest shape anymore. It didn't really look exactly like my original necklace. So that was kind of a problem. And you can see this would also be a really big problem with things, like for just an example, I'm going to use a penny for something that doesn't have any hook in it. So, let's just say we wanted to make a mold out of the penny. It's, okay, so it's in there. And now it's just kind of a pain to get it back out, and you're shifting, you're kind of having to squish your mold a little bit, and it makes this thing on the top. So that doesn't really work. So what I started to do was, like I made a mold for an owl. I sculpted my little owl shape right here, and then before I baked it, I attached another little piece of clay on the back and baked it like this, so it pretty much turns into a stamp. And the reason I really like this is so you brush your cornstarch onto the mold and your object, and you can just push it straight down like that, and you have this little handle to hold on to, and then you can, kind of reform the material around your stamp. So, because that just makes it, a more accurate impression when it's really kind of tucked in there like that. I don't know if you guys can see how that looks. And then you can just pull it straight back out, and it makes a pretty good impression that way. There's not really any shifting, you don't have to kind of force it out or dig into it with anything. It just straight down and straight back up, which is really important when you're making molds. You want it to be like that. So, and also, like let's say, you have an object, or for example, I wanted to make like a star mold, because it's really hard to, make stars out of clay just by kind of like, cutting them or doing it yourself. So I wanted to make a mold for it. And I found this little star bead. So basically what I did was I just took this little wooden, I don't know what this is, wooden stick type thing, craft stick, and glued it to the star bead so that, again, hold on, let me just roll this out again. I can just press it right in, and then it comes right back up, and you can see there's a perfect little impression of that bead. Which I think is really useful. And so the next thing, once you actually have your mold made, you don't want to, like, basically, you should make it on top of whatever surface you're going to be baking on. So, if I were going to bake this, I would just take this Silpat and put it on my baking sheet and just, you know, bake it on that, because you want to move your mold as much as less as possible, as little as possible. So what else? And when you bake these, it says on the box, the Sculpey Moldmaker box, how long you should bake them and what temperature. You bake, I think it's 275, it's the same as the clay, and I usually bake mine for just 20 minutes. Convection ovens, that's what I use to bake mine. I use a little convection oven. They vary on how they cook them. Like this one, you can see it turned out really, really dark and almost looks kind of burned. It's still, you know, perfectly stretchy, it still works and everything. The color's weird. And this one, same temperature, same time, just different ovens, came out really different. Came out a lot lighter, but you know, they still work the same. They're both still just as good. But yeah, so after you bake them, they'll be, you have to let them sit for a little while because they'll be pretty squishy once they come out. Just let them set, and then you'll have a great little push mold. And these are really useful for anything that has a flat back. Like obviously you can't, you know, you're not gonna be able to make 3D charms out of these, but for flat charms, they're really great. Got some little bats here that I made with that mold, and really, really useful when you want to make a lot of something and you want them all to be very consistent. So yeah, that is my little mini tutorial on push molds, and I hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching.